All right, Shalom. We should be on. I'm just checking the feed. Bear with me. All right. All right, Shalom. Okay, Lord willing, the sound is on point. I was having some technical difficulties yesterday. I think we on. All right, hey, Shalom. Shalom, Shalom. Before I get started with this live lesson, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Double salutations to all you Akim out there laboring in the house of David, the elect. That's pushing this word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Shalom to you, brothers. All right. And in today's lesson, I wanted to bring out here the testimony of Obadiah, some historical facts, and Idumea'S end. All right, which we're going to get in this lesson. And Lord will, you know, this lesson is edifying to the elect. All right, the sincere believers out there. And we're just going to touch on, you know, Edom's role in basically Esau aiding in the hand of the Babylonians, all right, and bringing us down and having us going into captivity. All right, we're going to touch on some of those facts too. So let's just go ahead, get right at it. All right, because I was reading this article here, and I pulled a couple scriptures up, and Lord's will, you know, this lesson is edifying. All right, so getting straight into this thing. This is from studyfinds.org. Okay, so it says here. All right. It says historical news. It says biblical stories of military events in kingdoms of Israel, Judah really did happen. Archaeologists show. Okay. This came out October 25th, 2022. All right. So let's read into it. In Tel Aviv, Israel. Now, mind you, all right, these findings that we're going to go into and some of these historical facts, these are all by these 48ers. All right. Once again, they constantly prove our cause, man. All right. We understand ultimately, first and foremost, through faith, that the scriptures is faithful and true. But let's read on. All right. So it says, Tel Aviv, Israel, biblical stories of military campaigns against the kingdoms of Israel and Judah appear to be more than just legendary stories, according to the latest scientific research. Researchers in Israel say ancient Egyptians, Arameans, Assyrians, and Babylonians really waged these battles. Okay, let's read that again. Researchers in Israel say ancient Egyptians, Arameans, Assyrians, and Babylonians really waged these battles. The team found evidence of these historical events and burnt remnants from 21 archaeological sites. Reading on, it says study authors were able to connect them with Earth's geomagnetic field at the time. The analysis shows that the army of Hazael, king of Aram, Damascus, was responsible for the destruction of several cities. They include Tel Rehov, Tel Zayit, Horvat, Tevet, and Gath, one of the 5 Philistine states. All right. And this is what we're going to touch on here. All right, let's highlight it. It says, findings also indicate the Edomites raised parts of southern Judah to the ground after taking advantage of the fall of Jerusalem. And this is what we're going to touch on in this lesson. All right. And that prophecy was written in Psalms 137, which we're going to get that later on too. All right. So here's the point again. It says findings also indicate the Edomites raised parts of southern Judah to the ground after taking advantage of the fall of Jerusalem. All right. So let's read on. The study published in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences also refutes the theory that Ha'azil conquered Tel Beth Shion. All right. It says, quote, based on the similarity or difference in the in intensity and direction of the magnetic field, we can either corroborate or disprove hypothesis claiming that specific sites were burned during the same military campaign. Moreover, we have constructed a variation curve of field intensity over time, which can serve as a scientific dating tool similar to the radiocarbon dating method, says lead author Yuval Venkin, a student at the Hebrew University, in a media release. So let's read on. So they're finding these artifacts, right? Okay. And we're going to get to the point. Bear with me. Okay. Because I have to read all of this. So it says, how did the Earth's unique fields reveal these events? It says Earth's ever-changing geomagnetic field is generated by the motion of liquid iron in the outer core of the planet. It shields the planet from dangerous radiation and enables technology to function from satellites to phone lines. All right. Jumping down. Okay. It says, here we go. Getting straight to the point. So it says the groundbreaking investigation also provides new insights regarding the end of the kingdom of Judah. All right. Here's some of the stuff they found, some of the archaeological digs. All right. So reading on, it says, quote unquote, the last days of the kingdom of Judah are widely debated. Some researchers relying on archaeological evidence argue that Judah was not completely destroyed by the Babylonians. While Jerusalem and frontier cities in the Judean foothills ceased to exist, other towns in Negev, the southern Judean mountains, and the southern Judean foothills remained almost unaffected, says Professor Erez Ben Yosef. All right, here we go. The point. Quote unquote, now the magnetic results support this hypothesis, indicating that the Babylonians were not solely responsible for Judah's ultimate demise. Several decades after they had destroyed Jerusalem and the first temple sites in Negev, which had survived the Babylonian campaign, were destroyed, probably by the Edomites, who took advantage of the fall of Jerusalem. It says, let me highlight that. Let's read that again. Okay, it says, let's read that part again, Salakia. It says, probably by the Edomites who took advantage of the fall of Jerusalem. This betrayal and participation in the destruction of the surviving cities may explain why the Hebrew Bible expresses so much hatred for the Edomites. For example, in the prophecy of Obadiah. So we're going to get that. So first off, before we even go there, let's go to some of the history. All right. When you had Nebuchadnezzar come in and invade Jerusalem, all right, and he destroyed the first temple and drove the Israelites into captivity. All right, let's go into that. Let's go into the scriptures. Okay. And this was under King Zedekiah. Okay. So it says Nebuchadnezzar besieged Jerusalem. All right. And it has the other scriptures that give the same account here. All right. But we're going to read verses 1 through 16. All right. Just going to how King Nebuchadnezzar besieged Jerusalem. All right. This is 2 Kings 25 and verse 1. And it reads, it says, and it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came, he and all his hosts, against Jerusalem, and pitched against it, and built forts against it round about. Verse 2, and the city was besieged unto the 11th year of King Zedekiah. Okay. Verse 3 says, on the 9th day of the 4th month, the famine prevailed in the city, and there was no more bread for the people of the land. Verse 4, and the city was broken up, and all the men of war fled by night by the way of the gate between two walls, which is by the king's garden. Now the Chaldees were against the city round about, and the king went the way toward the plain. Verse 5, All right. Verse 5, it says, and the army of the Chaldees pursued after the king and overtook him in the plains of Jericho, and all of his army was scattered from him. Verse 6, and it says, so they took the king and brought him up to the king of Babylon to Riblah, and they gave judgment upon him. And they slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, and put out his eyes, and put out the eyes of Zedekiah, and bound him with feathers of brass, and carried him to Babylon. Man, that's heavy. All right. This is the judgment, man. Okay, the southern kingdom being conquered here by the Babylonians. All right, it says, Jerusalem burned and plundered. The point. 2 Kings 25:8, it says, in the 5th month, on the 7th day of the month, which is the 19th year of King Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came Nebuzaradan, captain of the guard, a servant of the king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem. And he burnt the house of the Lord. You see, this is when the temple was destroyed. All right, the first temple. And he burnt the house of the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai in the king's house. Okay, the first temple was plundered. And he burnt the house of the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai in the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem, and every great man's house burnt he with fire. Verse 10. And all the army of the Chaldees that were with the captain of the guard break down the walls of Jerusalem round about. And now the rest of the people that were left in the city, and the fugitives that fell away to the king of Babylon, with the remnant of the multitude, did Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carry away. But the captain of the guard left of the poor of the land to be vine dressers and husbandmen. Verse 13, and the pillars of brass that were in the house of the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai, and the bases and the brazen sea that was in the house of the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai, did the Chaldees break in pieces, and carried the brass of them to Babylon. All right, so the temple, the first temple, was destroyed, all right, by the Babylonians. Verse 14, and the pots and the shovels and the snuffers and the spoons and all the vessels of brass wherewith they ministered, they took away. And the fire pans and the bowls and such things as were of gold and of silver, and silver, and the captain of the guard took away. Verse 16, the two pillars, one sea, and the bases which Solomon had made for the house of the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai, the brass of all these vessels was without weight. All right, so there you go. That's the history here. Now, before we move on, let's get one more precept just to add on. All right, this is in 2 Chronicles, real quick. All right, just to give the same reaccount. All right, this is in 2 Chronicles chapter 36 and verse 10. Captivity in Babylon begun. All right. 2 Chronicles 36 and 10, it says, and when the year was expired, King Nebuchadnezzar sent and brought him to Babylon with the good vessels of the house of the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai, and made Zedekiah his brother king over Judah and Jerusalem. All right, so you see Zedekiah rules in Judah. All right, real quick, Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai, his power, and humbled not himself before Jeremiah the prophet, speaking from the mouth of the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai. It says, and he rebelled against King Nebuchadnezzar, who made him swear by the Most High, but he stiffened his neck and hardened his heart from turning unto the Lord power of Israel. All right, jumping down straight to the point. All right, just to solidify the points I'm making here. Verse 17. Therefore he brought upon them the king of the Chaldees, who slew their young men with the sword in the house of their sanctuary, and had no compassion upon young men or maiden, or man or him that stooped for age. He gave them all into his hand. And all the vessels of the house of God of Yahweh Shemel Shai, great and small, and the treasures of the house of the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai, and the treasures of the king and of his princes, all these he brought to Babylon. Verse 19, the point, and he burnt the house of Yahweh Shemel Shai, and break down the wall of Jerusalem, and burnt all the palaces thereof with fire, and destroyed all the goodly vessels thereof. All right, so we have that understanding there. Okay, but now as we read in this article, okay, we understand at that time that the Edomites had a role also in aiding in the destruction of Jerusalem in the temple. All right. Now let's make that point too. Okay. As is prophesied in the book of Obadiah. So let's read this again and we'll get that in Obadiah. So it says, so due to these magnetic results, all right, that they're finding, all right, these historical facts is archaeological evidence, right? So let's read it again. It says, now the magnetic results support this hypothesis, indicating that the Babylonians were not solely responsible for Judah's ultimate demise. Several decades after they destroyed Jerusalem and the first temple, sites in Negev, which had survived the Babylonian campaign, were destroyed, probably by the Edomites who took advantage of the fall of Jerusalem. This betrayal and participation in the destruction of the surviving cities may explain why the Hebrew Bible expresses so much hatred for the Edomites, for example, in the prophecy of Obadiah. So let's get that, okay? Just to further add on, okay? So this is Obadiah, all right? I'm going to read some commentary in a second, all right? So this is Obadiah starting at verse 8, and it reads, it says, shall I not in that day, save the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and the understanding out of the mount of Esau. Verse 9, and thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. All right, here's Rod. Let's read on. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Verse 11, in the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, going into what? The Babylonians under King Nebuchadnezzar, as we just read in 2 Kings 25 and 2 Chronicles 36. Okay? In the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was one of them. You see that? Esau participated. You see? He participated in the destruction. Okay, let's read this commentary real quick before we read on. Right? I'm going to go straight to the point. This is some commentary here. Chuck Smith, right? So let's get straight to the point. So it says, some believe that he prophesied just before Joel, but again, that isn't important. What is important is what he prophesied, and Obadiah directed his prophecy against the Edomites, right? Let's get straight to the point. Okay, it says, let me highlight it. Okay, it says, and the Edomites became perennial enemies of Israel, and they had a very vicious nature that caused them, every time Israel had any problem with any enemy, every time that Israel was invaded from either from Egypt or by the Syrians or by the Assyrians, whatever, whenever Israel was pressed in battle, Edom would always attack them also from the south. They took advantage of every situation. And many times when Jerusalem was being overthrown by the Babylonians and all, as the Israelites would seek to flee to Edom, the Edomites would block their borders and turn their backs to their enemies. And thus they were perennial enemies of Israel by always taking advantage. So there is that psalm which the psalmist asked God to take vengeance upon the Edomites, who, while Jerusalem was being destroyed, encouraged the destroyer, saying, raise it, raise it. All right. See that? Heavy. And you Edomites got to pay for that. So let's finish that out in Obadiah. Okay, so read that again. All right, Obadiah 1 and 11. Again, it says, in the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, the Babylonians, and the foreigners entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even though it was one of them. It says, but thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother, in the day that he became a stranger. neither shall thou has rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of the destruction. You see, neither shouldst thou has spoken proudly in the day of distress. Verse 13, thou should not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldst not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. All right, going into what Jerusalem was taken down. See, they had a role in that, man. As we're proving here in this historical point, it says, neither should thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of that Salakia, to cut off those of his that did escape. All right, so they were blocking the exits. They were slaughtering Jake that was trying to flee. They were helping the Babylonians, man. It says to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. So you devils, you got to pay. You see that? And the Lord didn't forget that. That's why it's mentioned here in the testimony of Obadiah here. All right. Psalms 137 in verse 7, and it reads, remember, O Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. Yeah, destroy it. Right? Rejoicing in the destruction. Right? Slaughtering Jake, as we read in the history here. Esau was always in the midst when Jake was being taken down. You know? Verse 8, it says, O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. And you see, what's spiritual now, okay, modern day Babylon, all right, which is Babylon the Great, okay, is America, which represents Edom today. All right. And there's a scripture in Jeremiah, I believe it's in Jeremiah, I want to say 40, is it 45? Where pretty much Edom and Babylon are synonymous. Okay. Babylon the Great, America, Edom, Idumea, Mount Seir, Basra. Okay. Now this place is going to be rewarded. It says, verse 9, it says, happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones. Exactly what they did to us. Right? Back then and now in this current captivity. You see? So the judgment is coming, man. Okay. Let's get this too. I got some more commentary I want to read. I didn't want this lesson to be too long, just making points. Some of the stuff that I was looking up. All right. So here's some commentary on Psalms 137 in verse 7. All right. It says the Keel and Dilschlick's biblical commentary on the Old Testament dealing with this verse. It says the second part of the psalm supplicates vengeance upon Edom and Babylon. You see, that's spiritual. We see from Obadiah's prophecy, which is taken up again by Jeremiah, how shamefully the Edomites, that brother people related by descent to Israel and yet preeminently hostile to it, behaved in connection with the destruction of Jerusalem by the Chaldeans as their malignant, rapacious, and inhuman helpers. You see, you can't get past the facts, right? I'm gonna read one more. Okay, it says, Cambridge Bible for Schools and Colleges. It says, remember Yahweh against the children of Edom, the day of Jerusalem. Remember and punishment. It says, remember and punish the conduct of the Edomites in the fatal day of Jerusalem's fall. See, and the Lord's going to remember that. Okay. Isaiah 63. Okay. Isaiah 34. As the scriptures here, we're not going to get them, but they got all the scriptures here that are on point. Okay. Esau got to pay up. You see that? Here's one more. All right. That was it. Let's go back to the article. So anyway, so we read that there. So it says, going back, it says residual magnetism in the ancient burnt down buildings is also helping biblical experts to date other finds in the area. It says the new dating tool is unique because it is based on geomagnetic data from sites whose exact destruction dates are known from historical sources. By combining precise historical information with advanced comprehensive archaeological research, we are able to base the magnetic method on the reliability of anchored chronology, as Professor Oded Lipschitz of Tel Aviv University. See, so these small hats, like the scriptures tell you, Esau does a diligent search, man. Right? A little bit more. The point, it says, the study adds to a growing body of evidence that the Bible is a true, accurate, and historical text. You see that? The study adds to a growing body of evidence that the Bible is a true, accurate, and historical text. Let's get that. Isaiah 34:16, it says, seek you out of the book of the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai, and read the scriptures. No one of these shall fail, which is what? The prophecies. Okay? See, these so-called Bible scholars, these so-called Hebrew scholars, these 48ers, small hats, they have the scrolls, they have the evidence, they have all these things, man. Esau does a diligent search. They know that the scriptures is true. No one of these shall fail. The prophecies shall not fail. Okay? None shall want her mate. Nothing can be compared to the scriptures. Okay? For my mouth it have commanded, and his spirit it have gathered them. All right? The Holy Spirit, okay, has gathered the elect. Here's another one. All right? Second Ezra chapter 15. And it reads, verse 1, it says, behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. All right? The scriptures are faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against thee, and let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. Right? So your disbelief, you don't believe in all of that. Like I say all the time, it means nothing. All right? So the point here is that we have the truth. You know, I just wanted to bring this out, man. And ultimately, as we read in the book of Obadiah, you Edomites are going down. You got to pay. You know, so nothing goes unnoticed by the prophets, man. You know, just wanted to bring this out. You know, I pray that this lesson was edifying, just quick, straight to the point, not trying to get too deep. You see, but I'll post this article in the description box, you know. So yeah, man, that's pretty much the point, you know. I'm gonna wrap it up, giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Hey, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth, and double salutations to all you Akim out there laboring. Hey, Shalom.